Well, hello again to all the boys and girls out there in YouTube land watching. Georgia Beer Reviews back at you today with another one. What I'm looking at is a beer from Modest Man Brewing Company out of Keene, New Hampshire. This is Can't Sell Dope Forever. It is a double IPA clocking in at 8.5% ABV. The hops that they use in this beer are Citra, Galaxy, and Cascade. They mention sweet pineapple, lemon zest, candied grapefruit, black tea, creamy vanilla, laid back bitterness as flavor descriptors on the can, which we'll see what we get when we crack into this thing. But it's interesting the black tea that they mention in here. Anyway, yeah, 8.5%. I don't see any date on here. I know it's pretty fresh just because I get this, the Modest Man beers from a really reputable craft beer store, and they always get fresh supply. So I'm not doubting that it's a fresh can, but I wish they would just put the date on the bottom. This is a black can. If there is a date on here, I don't see it. I don't know, but nothing really discernible or obvious as far as the date. Let's go ahead and pour this thing up. Poured it pretty aggressively. It's bright orange, opaque, can't see through it. Poured with a pretty big head because I poured it aggressively. I would say, yeah, 3 fingers worth of a creamy, maybe slightly off-white head. Citrus is the first thing I'm getting with this one. The tangerine citrus. There is a little bit of lemon zest as well. Some bready malt aromas. It is interesting they mentioned tea on the label. I wish I hadn't read the label because I feel like I would have come up with that descriptor because there is a little bit of like a tea-like note, just like freshly steeped Lipton tea. It's very pleasant. It's a very pleasant aroma, but it's very mellow. There's not anything really popping out. Um, the citrus is there, maybe a touch of tropical fruit, but it's really just quite mild. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot more on the palate, but I'm not getting a ton from the aroma. Yeah, the lemon zest and the tangerine with a little bit of like a tea note, um, and some just vague tropical notes that you get with these IPAs, but nothing really that stands out. Anyway, it smells like a good beer, but we'll see how it follows through on the palate, see if there's a little bit more flavor there. Without further ado, let's get into this brew. Cheers, cheers, guys. Oh, wow. So that first sip reminded me of a Scotch whiskey, like a peat type note. I'm gonna pause this for just a second so I can blow my nose and get a little bit better idea of what's going on. I don't have a cold or anything, but allergies this time of year. So give me just a second. I'll be right back. And we're back. Okay, getting a little bit more now that I cleared my head. Well, not really much more on the aroma, just a little bit more pronounced. Same aroma, but with a little bit more intensity. All right, back to the flavor. Yeah, there is a weird peaty type of smoky note Very reminiscent of Scotch. A little bit of that citrus coming through. Maybe, orange, and a touch of the lemon as well. Black tea's not translating to the palate. It's that peaty, smoky kind of Scotch whiskey thing. It's really strange. Ooh, there's a little bit of like a candied note there. Once you get through that peated type of thing. They mentioned candied grapefruit on the label. I'm not getting grapefruit necessarily. It's a nice beer. It's that weird first sip kind of threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting that. Medium carbonation, high medium carbonation, low medium body. The finish is juicy. That peated type note is fading the more I drink it. I don't know if it was something with the can or if it's just that after a few sips you get used to it and then you start picking up on the other flavors. But definite tangerine citrus. And a little bit of like a tea note is coming through the more I sip on it, which I was detecting on the nose. A lot of people talk about tea flavors or aromas and flavors in an IPA to be unpleasant, undesirable. But they specifically mention that on the label as a tasting note, and I love tea, so I'm not complaining about that at all, but some people may find it a little off. The only thing that was off for me personally was the initial sip with that kind of Scotch peated type of note that seemed out of place for this type of beer, but it is kind of faded a little bit. It's still there, but in the background, and it kind of melds well with the other flavors. This is an interesting one. It's not one that I would recommend to somebody who's just kind of getting into the juicy IPA scene, because I think it might be offensive to some people if you don't like all the flavors going on in here. And this is not the norm necessarily for a New England juice bomb, so to speak. There's a little bit of extra strange in this one. But it definitely has a citrus. It has a little bit of like kind of tropical fruit flavors as well, but nothing really that is, you can pinpoint. It's just kind of like a generic tropical smoothie type of, conglomeration or mashup of different tropical fruits. Citrus for sure, like I said, a little bit of that tea. Yeah, it's interesting. All right, I blabbed on long enough about this beer. Um, I'm gonna give this an A minus. It's excellent, but it's so strange, hard to really put into words. Uh, 92 out of 100. It's an A minus. It's really good, and if you like different, you're gonna like this. There's nothing off about it, really. I will say that the first sip kind of threw me for a loop because it didn't match the aromas with that weird peated type of almost smoky note that I got, but that faded the more I sipped on it, and it kind of came into its own. But this is one that kind of grows on you after a couple of sips. Um, Very enjoyable beer. I would definitely recommend it for somebody who likes New England IPAs. Um, this is one to try, but it is going to be a different and unique drinking experience. So yeah, 92 out of 100 for Modest Man's Can't Sell Dope Forever. Buy it, try it, let me know what you think in the comments below. That'll do it for this beer review, guys. Hope you're all having a wonderful day, and until next time, everybody, cheers.